brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Hall, where we rise and don't fall.
Welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my frequency. Enter at your own risk. Man, today I have a special guest, a returning guest, a friend of mine, a part-time therapist of mine and part-time mentor, part-time collaborator, um, Dr. Nefertiti Lewis. Welcome back to Baxter's Buzz, Nef.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Thank you for just your friendship. I believe that this is our third Black History podcast, although we've recorded, at least another handful of times aside from February. So it's February. Black history is American history, and we always try to connect and make sure that we bring attention to the contributions that have been made by Black Americans, African Americans throughout this country. So today we're going to do something a little bit differently. We were kind of talking about music. Off camera, we talked about how when we first connected, we had like so much in common as far as like music, and we were like, we should do a music podcast and we should do all this cool stuff, and we didn't do anything. But we did. We have done the podcast,
Yes.
this Baxter's Buzz podcast. But today I thought we could maybe talk about just some of our favorite Black musicians and just talk about what we enjoy about them and just their contributions to society and how important they maybe have been in impacting our lives.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I just love music. And there is something distinctively different about Black soulful music and so on. But I mean, Nina Simone is the first person that comes to mind. I mean, she was like a musical genius and a trailblazer, right? She had challenges and she just really continued to stay true to herself in the midst of. And back then, she was dealing with all the isms, racism, sexism, along with her own personal story and her own personal struggles, right? None of us come without it. But I love the fact that she was a pianist, right? During segregation. And so rather than her giving up, she channeled that pain into jazz and blues and souls. And everyone that knows Nina Simone knows feeling good. Like you just know when that beat drops, you're like, dun, 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 And it's like, it's just unmatched. It's
Yeah.
unmatched today. But she was also a mentor and an advocate for everything that was going on. And most people don't do that, right? It's like, I'm an artist. I'm going to focus on this, make my money, then I'm out.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She was like, I'm going to take this gift that I have and help uplift others during the civil rights movement. So I definitely love her. And my all-time favorite, Prince. Like when you think purple and you see purple, you're like, Prince, right?
Yeah.
And I remember being like, maybe, and I'm dating myself, maybe 17, 18 years old. And my stepfather had like all these records. I'm like, why does he like this guy with this eyeliner on and high heels, right?
Yeah.
I didn't understand then. And now I'm like, oh my God, I wasted all those years not listening to him. And when I became a fan, I was a super fan.
Yeah.
And even had a chance to see him in person in concert, and seeing him like live is just whoa. Seeing him perform Purple Rain live, mind-blowing, best concert of all time.
Oh
But he
wow.
was brilliant. I mean, he taught his own self how to play instruments. Like I have a lot of skills, but that's one I don't have.
Yeah.
And then to be self-taught.
Yeah. 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 So my four of my sisters and my brother are all kind of in a similar um like age range, and born in the late 60s, early 70s, and um that was Prince was like their everything. We go to parties now, we get together. There's gonna be some Prince being played. That was their sort of formative years, right? Um, I also, of course, it's like you almost can't say Prince without Michael Jackson. I was just thinking about how important Mike was and is to the culture, right?
Oh yeah.
Just the uh the fact that we sort of saw him grow up, and even my kids who uh I think he passed in 2012.
Yeah, I think that's when it was. I remember my daughter was like, "Oh my God, Michael Jackson
Yeah.
passed away," and she was, yeah.
And my
Um,
daughter was born in 2013, and like you can't tell her that she don't know Mike, right? And then my son like the same thing, right? One of the things that I found very interesting was that even though he may have had self some insecurities as far as his image,
yeah,
um, he always said he was black. He always said he was black. He never wavered from that, even though physically you can say whatever.
right.
But he always identified, and I think the song and the video for Remember the Time and the whole Egyptian theme. I mean, if you wanna,
I mean, I absolutely loved it with my name being Nefertiti. And, I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan. So as soon as I seen, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. But was it was something that nobody did,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
he just walked in that thing and it was amazing. And to your point about seeing him as you grew up from like ABC, to black and white, and they're just totally different, right? And he was like, you talk about the activism of Nina Simone, that was pretty pretty gutsy to do a black and white song,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now that was what you said, 2012, so maybe it's been 13 years, still relevant today more than ever.
Relevant is not even the correct word. He is a force.
Timeless.
Yes. Yeah. And just he seemed to always speak for the marginalized. Um, and yeah, like just
Man
salute.
in the Mirror, like
Yeah.
when I first heard that song, I was a kid, but I had to look in the mirror and have some self accountability because that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. Like, we see all these things going on and we're pointing fingers. This person should do this, person should do that.
Yeah.
But it's never pointed at me to say, what can I do? And how
Yeah.
can I be better? Because that
Yeah.
takes too much effort.
Yeah. 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 I was talking to the kids the other day, and I'm like, when y'all should be worrying about each other, you don't. And then when you should be worried about yourselves, you're worried about each other. What this one didn't do. And yeah, Man in the Mirror says, okay, what's my role in this? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I get better? How do I work on self-improvement? And yeah, yeah. But back to Prince. One of the, I mean, besides his musical genius and contributions culturally, the a pivotal moment in his career. First of all, he got tired of making R&B. I mean, really, all sentiments was that he just thought it was just too easy for him. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know how to make a hit.
Yes.
He was uh incredibly diverse as far as like his palette and the type of music he can make. And he really stayed away from like standard R&B kind of
Mhm.
after Purple Rain, right?
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that he wrote songs for people that they don't need. Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares, like her number one song, he wrote it.
Wow.
Shaka Khan's I Feel For You, he wrote it. If you're into the Bengals, it's just another manic Monday. Like he wrote that song. And so I love artists like him and even Pharrell that they've written all these things, or Teddy Riley. Like, I mean, they've written all these songs for these people. And so they're the backbone to a lot of artists that we don't even know. And they didn't go and say, look at me, I'm the one who did it. They let them get their awards, they let them get all of their accolades, and they
Yeah.
sat in the back, got their
Yeah.
little paycheck and kept on going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think whatever his thought process was, yeah, he probably felt like he can make that stuff in his sleep, and he wanted to do some things that maybe stretched him a bit more.
Or even the
But
movie he made. Remember the movie? Everybody loved that movie with Apollonia,
Purple
Purple Rain.
Rain, yeah,
I mean, it's one of the best movies of all time. If that's what you're into, I love that movie. I
it's a
remember like
cult classic. Yes, absolutely,
and
absolutely. I
when
mean,
Doves Cry, like that was on there, and it's like I'm like not like my mother, I'm not like my father. Like
yeah,
you, I feel like I know him a little bit more now. I understand who he is and who he
yeah,
morphed into. Being. Like
yeah,
he identified as black too, even though he's biracial.
yeah, yeah. The whole like contract disputes. I think it was Warner that he was signed to.
Hmm.
They some folks could call them predatorial sort of contracts, and just generally in the music business, right? But a lot of businesses, but music we know a little bit better. We're so connected to it, and these
Yeah.
artists, a lot of them didn't get a fair shake, and him changing his name and or basically saying I don't have a name anymore, right? Like
Yep.
you like his name is his parents named him Prince, and it was like they owned his name, and so
Yep.
he's like, well, I'm the symbol, you know,
Yep.
and like that was the 90s, Neffy. Like he was like taking a stand against the music business in a way we had never seen.
Yep. I remember he had slave written on
He
him, and
wrote
he just
slave on his face and was like, don't call me Prince.
yep. Because now I'm tired. Everything that I do is tied to this company. But I think him, quote unquote, being radicalized with that, it helped us say, we got to wake up. We have to read the contracts.
Yeah,
Well, I'll give you $500,000 up front. And if you've never had that type of money in front of you, you think it's good. But you're not worried about, oh, you could have been a millionaire over a millionaire or a billionaire because now they own that. And so instead of something just being waved in front of our face, we're just more educated from people like Prince. And that's to me about leaving a legacy. He left a musical legacy, not just with his library of music, but with his actions and his quote unquote call to action to people. Read your contracts, publish yourself, do what you need to do for you and your family because it's not just about you.
yeah, yeah. My favorite hip hop artist, and in my mind, can't tell me that he's not the greatest of all time. It's Nas, and he tells a story in an interview where he met Prince, and I don't know if R&B artists. I imagine that they do something similar. I imagine most artists do something where they meet artists that they respect and like, hey, maybe we should do something, right? So he
Yeah.
talks about meeting Prince. He talks about saying, hey, we should do a song, and Prince goes, do you own the rights to your music? And Nas said no, and he said, well then, let me know when you do.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And
So
I have to second the Nas thing. If I rule the world, you go to those lyrics, like we were just talking about the other lyrics.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Nas is amazing.
Yeah, again, we need folks to just help educate us in these walks of life, and we give entertainers so much praise because we can see them, but there are people
100%.
that are doing amazing things and helping folks navigate through regular life, whatever that means, as far as what to look out for, pitfalls that they should be um, leery of, and ways to sort of navigate whatever sort of terrain that they may be um, sort of uh, dealing with or experiencing at the time. And it's not the Prince thing is huge because it was a huge stand, and something we hadn't seen before. But shout out to the folks that are mentoring people at every level of
Mhm.
folks' career and saying, be mindful of this, look out for this. Encouraging people to advocate for themselves and encouraging people to use their voice
Yes.
to add value to their companies, their organizations,
Mm-hmm.
their families, but
Yeah.
also encouraging folks to also pass that knowledge along and help other folks learn and encourage them to do the same things that someone else encouraged you to do, right?
Yeah, knowledge sharing is powerful. But let me tell you, like, I think that when someone gives information, it is up to us to take the action because you lead a horse to water, but they have to ultimately drink it. And that's the part. And then we have to, when we talk about artists and who they are and having familiarity because they're in the spotlight, they have the right to change. And that's one thing I've seen in the music business. Like we feel like you can't change your genre, you can't change who you are. I mean, Whitney Houston got Dolly Parton's song that she blew away, and then all of a sudden we found this Whitney, and they had her all this dolled up America's princess. And when she wanted to break away from that, she lost a lot of her base audience because they didn't allow her to change. But ultimately, it's organic to evolve.
Yeah.
But we don't want them. You can't age, you can't gain any weight, you can't change the way you sing, or and it's like these are human beings, to your point. Yes, Mariah Carey may not be able to hit the same note, but she's still a human being.
Yeah. 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 We have to appreciate our folks in the moment and then also give them space to evolve
Mm-hmm.
in their directions,
Yep.
and also allow them to age in a way that's graceful, where they don't feel the pressure to be who they were 10 years ago, five
Right.
projects ago, right? And I think that even moving in these corporate spaces that we move in, I think it's um, sometimes we can have like a vision of what success looks like or what the successful person looks like. And we may find ourselves trying to sort of fit into boxes. And quiet as kept, most of those boxes weren't made for you and I. And so trying to fit in there really diminishes um, the things that we do well and the things that make us us, right?
No, I totally agree. But to your point, you have to have somebody that's a mentor, someone that can tell you when you're wrong, and someone that can help you or even redirect you as needed. I had a supervisor actually a couple of years ago, and I remember telling her all these great ideas. And she goes, Nephew, you have all these great ideas. We need you to channel it down and then focus on X, Y, and Z. And when I was a little bit hesitant and she noticed it, she goes, Nephi. And I go, yes, ma'am. She goes, I will allow you to skin your knee, but I will never let you break your leg.
Mm,
And that was to me like, wow. I mean, out of all the great leaders I've had, she basically said, I'm going to allow you to grow. I'm going to allow you to try things and see what sticks to the wall, but I'm never going to let you go to a place
yeah.
where you can't return from, right? You can't bounce back from, but that still allowed me to be empowered and to be able to adjust and adapt. But she's like, I will never let you break your leg. And I just like, that's pretty awesome. And I feel like that as a mom. Like I want my kids to feel that way. I want you to grow.
Yeah.
You want to go to college out of state, you want them near, but they can't, the birds got to fly. If they don't
Yeah.
use their
Yeah.
wings
Yeah.
when they need them, they don't know. And sometimes you got to just jump and then grow your wings on the way down, right? Which
Yeah.
is scary.
Yeah.
But that's part of whether you're a parent, whether you're a leader, you have to allow others to grow. And then you have to have the peace of mind. If they do better than you or grow bigger than you, so what?
That's the plan. That really should be the plan if you really care about them. But
I agree.
but I want to go back to something, and I wanted to go somewhere else, but we're going to end like this because this is so important. This conversation about belonging has been sort of recurring in general, but also in some of the spaces that I've been in lately. And what that supervisor said to you, in my opinion, is a perfect example of belonging, letting
Yeah.
you know that your voice matters. Not only um, you have these ideas and channel them and use that voice, also, I'm going to support those ideas when you bring them to the table.
Mhm.
Um, Even if no one else may be receptive initially, I'm going to make sure that I back you. And that's how we allow different voices, different ideas, different backgrounds and experiences to come to the forefront and add to this amazing sort of gumbo that this organization may be cooking up, but if you don't have variety, at some point it's a slow death. If you don't allow new voices, new experiences, new faces to enter and truly be real contributors to the mission and the vision.
Well, I agree. I mean, communication is the main ingredient in that. Communication from the beginning, throughout the process, and even at the end. Because if you work for me or you get transferred over or whatever, where we're working together, the first thing I need to ask you is, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, what's a competency that you need to work on? And when you do that, people are kind of taken aback, like, what? You want to know about me personally? We're saying, hey, get X, Y, and Z done.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then people want feedback. Feedback is a gift. People a lot of times go, well, I don't want to say anything. Well, you don't want to say anything to me 11 months and 4 weeks, right? And then it's at the end of the year, here's your review, Neffy. Wait a minute. So you're talking to me about something that you never talked to me about all year, that I can't change it now, but you want to grade me for it? And that's one thing that we tell our leaders, like we have to give feedback every interaction, every time, and not just bad feedback. Sometimes it's just to catch somebody caring and doing the right things, because that is positive reinforcement for continuous good behavior.
Yes.
So we can't miss the mark on communication, ongoing, all the time.
Yes.
Feedback is a gift, and it doesn't have to always be negative.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because that ties all together with that sense of belonging. Because now I feel that you see me, you recognize the things that I do good, and you're going to support me in my career, which leads to what? Higher retention levels, which means we have better customer loyalty, which means we make more money. And that's why we're in business, right? Yeah. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in an organization, those are the key ingredients to success, to your point.
Yeah. I just want to encourage everyone who's listening or watching this to think about your role, and if you're seeing the people in your spaces and encouraging them to use their voice and be themselves, or if you are even if you're not overtly discouraging them, if you're not encouraging them to use their voice and speak up, you're discouraging them. So let's bring it all home and just say, like, it's important for everyone to feel a sense of belonging, but with the attack on DE&I right now, with these false narratives and these like false equivalencies, I think it's important to, first of all, recognize the contributions of Black Americans in this country since day one. And then also to make sure that when you bring any person into an organization, regardless of their experiences, their background, their race, their gender, that you see them, that you encourage them, and give them the space to do what you brought them in the organization to do. Or else it's like having a nice sofa that you leave out on the porch. It ain't no outside sofa. It's supposed to be inside. Right. Spend all this money on it now, make room for it, make space for it, make space for the people that you are bringing in these organizations so that they can truly flourish.
I agree. I remember a quote that said, sometimes if you have a flower that's in a particular environment and it doesn't blossom and bloom, it may not be the flower, it may be the environment. So we have to create environments for anybody from anywhere to be able to grow and bloom, period.
Mic drop. On behalf of Dr. Neferiatiti Lewis, I am Baxter E. Hall. Again, thank you all for listening, watching, and just know that you all are worthy. You all deserve space. Your experiences matter. Just remember to embrace your own frequency. Until next time, peace, everyone.
Peace.
Welcome into his brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button Please subscribe, share, and also hit that notification button as well. Thank you so much.
Financial literacy to authentic black history. This